Imagine a city that never sleeps. The neon lights flicker across empty streets, and as the sun sets, Mumbai's endless maze of alleys grows darker and colder. But what if I told you that, in the heart of this bustling metropolis, something once stirred in the shadows? Something so sinister that people dared not close their eyes at night. Between 1965 and 1968, the homeless and vulnerable began to vanish under mysterious and horrifying circumstances. People would wake to find lifeless figures lying on the streets, their bodies showing signs of unimaginable violence. Parents pulled their children closer, shopkeepers locked up early, and whispers spread of a figure, a man who moved like a ghost, haunting the city with his chilling gaze. His name? Raman Raghav is known by many names, but is remembered as the Phantom of Mumbai's night. But what drove this man into darkness? And why did the city tremble at the mere mention of his name? Raman Raghav, also known by a string of aliases, Sindhi Dalwai, Anna, Thambi, Veluswamy, was no ordinary man. His life reads like a descent into madness. From childhood, the lines between reality and illusion blurred for him. While little is known about his early years, what remains clear is that something was deeply broken inside him. By the time he drifted into Mumbai, the city of dreams, Raghav had already spent 5 years behind bars for robbery. But it was what came after his release that turned him into a shadow figure lurking behind the city's veneer of glamour. In 1965, Mumbai's eastern suburbs began to feel a chill that wasn't caused by the night air. People, often the poor and homeless sleeping on sidewalks and under open skies, began to fall victim to unseen violence. These weren't random attacks. Victims were found with their skulls crushed by blunt objects, often while they lay sleeping. The city's bustling streets became death traps as soon as darkness fell. No one knew who would be next. As fear gripped the city, the idea of a malevolent spirit or demon began circulating in the crowded slums. Because who but something inhuman could strike with such precision, and then vanish without a trace? Just as suddenly as the violence began, it seemed to stop. The city exhaled in relief, thinking perhaps their unseen tormentor was gone. But this was just the eye of the storm. By 1968, the nightmare returned, even more violent and unpredictable than before. And this time, the city was ready to face the evil, though unprepared for the darkness that would unfold. In August 1968, the killings resumed. Like before, they struck deep into the heart of Mumbai's most vulnerable communities, the homeless, the pavement dwellers, those society had forgotten. People began to speak of a shadowy figure moving through the night, eyes wild, muttering to himself. Witnesses, the few who lived to tell, described a disheveled man, wearing khaki shorts and a bush shirt, moving from one darkened alley to another, as if on a mission guided by something unseen. Entire neighborhoods lived in fear. Mothers clutched their children, and even the police were left bewildered. Who was this man who seemed to know the city's underbelly better than anyone? With the city on the brink of hysteria, a massive manhunt was launched. Deputy Commissioner Ramakant Kulkarni led the charge, deploying officers across the city, searching every alley and interrogating anyone who looked remotely suspicious. It wasn't until Sub-Inspector Alex Fialho, acting on an old hunch and a keen eye, spotted a man who matched the elusive descriptions that a breakthrough finally came. Raghav was found with blood-stained clothes and muddy shoes, like someone who had walked through the depths of the city and its secrets. But even when caught, he stared back at officers with a chilling calmness, as if they could not touch the dark world he lived in. At first, Raghav refused to speak, sitting in silence with a cold, distant stare. But after being granted his strange request for a plate of chicken, the floodgates opened. What he said shook even the most hardened officers. He admitted to 41 killings along Mumbai's railway lines in 1966 and another dozen in 1968. But as he described the details, the way he chose his victims, the voices that commanded him, and his unshakable belief that he was an agent of the Qanun, law, it became clear that Raghav was consumed by terrifying delusions. He spoke of two worlds, one of Qanun and the wicked world where others lived. He believed people were trying to change his gender through unholy temptations, that governments were conspiring against him, and that he was a divine force, a Shakti, beyond human judgment. Imagine standing in that room, hearing him calmly describe his acts, as if he were simply following orders from an invisible hand. As the trial began, a question hung in the air like a thick fog. Was Raman Raghav simply evil, or was his mind too broken to grasp reality? Psychiatrists were brought in to examine him. Some said he suffered from chronic paranoid schizophrenia, with wild delusions of grandeur and persecution. He was convinced he was 101% man, and resisted anyone who, in his mind, belonged to this wicked world. Yet others argued he knew exactly what he was doing, moving with purpose and skill through the city, picking his moments to strike with chilling precision. In a stunning verdict, Raghav was sentenced to death, but later, due to his mental condition, his sentence was reduced to life imprisonment. The courts ruled that he was mentally unfit for execution, citing his severe paranoid schizophrenia. To some, this was justice. To others, an unsettling thought. A man who terrorized an entire city would now live out his days behind bars, rather than facing the fate he had dealt to so many. Raghav was sent to Yerwada Central Jail in Pune, where he remained under psychiatric care at the Central Institute of Mental Health and Research. But even within the confines of prison, the darkness never truly left him. Guards whispered that he would spend hours talking to unseen figures, staring at the walls as if watching something others couldn't see. Some nights, he would mutter names under his breath, names of people long dead, names of those who had once lived in fear of his presence. And when the lights flickered in his cell, some swore they heard soft whispers in the dark, as though the shadows themselves were speaking back. The legend of Raman Raghav never faded. Even in death, the question lingers. Was he merely a man driven by madness? Or was there something else, something far more terrifying, guiding him through the night? In 1995, he died quietly in a hospital, his end marked not by justice, but by kidney failure. Yet, his dark legend lives on, whispered among Mumbai's oldest alleys, a city that never forgets its ghosts. But here's something most people don't know. Before his final arrest, Raghav was seen visiting churches, sitting in silence, praying. Some say he believed that no matter what he did, Jesus would forgive him. Now, imagine this. A man who saw himself as the hand of judgment, claiming divine forgiveness as he walked among shadows, seeking out the vulnerable. Was this madness? Or something far darker, a force beyond comprehension? As you think about this, I leave you with one haunting thought. What if there are others like Raghav, walking our streets, hidden in plain sight, waiting for night to fall? So next time you're out late, watch the shadows, because some nightmares don't stay in the past. If you want more chilling real-life stories like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Do you think Raghav was driven by madness or something even darker? And would you dare walk those same alleys today?